So with your 16 mil socket and your 19 mil open end wrench, you can go ahead and remove the shoulder belts. And you're going to want to set this hardware aside because it will be reused. All right, once you've got the two of those out, you can go ahead and grab the front mount for the adventure rack. Open end of the bracket is going to go towards the rear of the car, and the harness straps are going to mount underneath the bracket. And those will go together with the factory hardware. And then we can go ahead and get these snug. So if you're putting this on a car with a factory cage, you'll go ahead and remove the factory 16 mil head bolt. If you are installing this on a car with one of our cages, there's going to be a bigger headed 19 mil or 3/4 in there. You can go ahead and remove those on both sides. You'll also want to remove the T50 Torx down here on both sides as well. All right, so once you've got all four of those pieces of hardware out, you can go ahead and grab the lower bumper section of your adventure rack. I like to pre-install a bolt through the bottom. Go ahead and get it lined up and just start the threads on that bolt to get it to stay. Move over to the other side and do that same thing with all four. Once you've got all four bumper bolts in and snugged up, you can go ahead and get these ones all tightened down. All right, so once the bumper section of your adventure rack is all bolted down and tight on the car, you can go ahead and grab the two rubber bumpers that came in your hardware kit and install those on the bumper pedestals here and here. All right, so the next part that we're going to go ahead and install on the car is going to be the strut mounts. But before they can go into the car, we actually have to install the strut balls onto the mounts. So, all right, so you can take that ball stud, a washer, and your lock nut. And go ahead and tighten those down with your 1/2-inch wrench and socket. And you'll go ahead and repeat the exact same thing to the opposite side bracket. All right, so once you've got those ball studs installed in your mounts, you can go ahead and get those installed into the bed here. They have alignment tabs on the bottom of them that are going to go ahead and drop down into the factory holes in the bed. Just like that. And then you can go ahead and grab the larger Allen head screws, Allen head bolts that are in there, and drop those down in. Then you'll go ahead and grab the larger fender washers and the remaining lock nuts and install those under the bed onto the bottom side of these bolts. All right, so the next step, we're gonna go ahead and prep the actual adventure rack itself for install onto the car. So first things first with that, you're gonna wanna go ahead and grab your 2 rod ends and their jam nuts, and go ahead and get the jam nuts installed onto the rod end. Both of these are just regular threads. Then we can go ahead and install them into the bungs on the end of the rack. So once you've got your rod ends all the way threaded in, you can go ahead and back them out roughly 3/8 of an inch, and that'll be a really good base point for starting installation and baseline adjustment. Once you've got those in, we can go ahead and grab our latches and move on to getting those installed. All right, so you can go ahead and grab the 2 pull latches out of the hardware bags. These guys are going to install with the pulls towards the rear of the car, and you'll go ahead and grab the small Allen head screws and throw all those in there. Go ahead and throw those nylock nuts on the bottom side and leave those just a little bit loose for final adjustment. All right, so the last bit of prep work we're gonna have to do on the rack itself before we can actually get it thrown on the car is to throw on the opposite end of these ball studs. So go ahead and grab both of those. They are going to get installed ball end out on both sides of the rack. So you can go ahead and grab that 1/2 inch socket and wrench one last time and get those all snugged up. All right, so then you're gonna go ahead and take the assembled rack and gently set it down into place. Doesn't have to latch. Then you can go ahead and grab the 2 1/2 inch bolts. Go ahead and get those thrown in up front all the way tight, and then we can do any adjustment from there. All right, so there is a little bit of inconsistency in these latches from batch to batch. If you do have some of these latches where this spread is a little bit bigger than others and it hits this tube when it's closed, really all you'll have to do, just go ahead, open the rack up and just squeeze that with a clamp. Doesn't need much, maybe close that up by 3/16 of an inch and you'll have all the clearance in the world for those latches. All right, and then the last step in your install is gonna be to grab your pair of air struts and go ahead and just get those clipped on to both ball studs. And that's it.